All right, so we're diving into figure one, this whole AI-powered humanoid robot thing.
Yeah, it definitely feels like something big is on the horizon, right?
Absolutely, they hit spot on right away talking about labor shortages.
Mhm.
And it's not just some factories, right? This is healthcare, logistics, everywhere. Makes sense. Companies are looking for something new.
And Figure AI comes in with Figure 1. They're not messing around, going for a complete overhaul.
Yeah, figure one, humanoid robot. Okay, cool. But then generative multimodal AI. I need a dictionary over here.
Okay, so picture this. A robot, not just taking orders. It sees you, hears you, processes all that, kind of like how we do, multimodal, but then generative AI. That means it comes up with its own solutions, not pre-programmed stuff, like teaching it to actually think, but with way more senses.
Hold on, my mind's a little blown here. We're talking collaborating with robots who can think on the fly. This is straight out of science fiction.
It does feel futuristic, right? But it's where we're heading. Figure AI's all in on humans and these robots working together, even mimicking emotions. Kind of creepy, kind of cool, you know?
Practically, though, where would this figure one even work? Healthcare's got to be top of the list.
Totally. Imagine this. It's assisting surgeons, complex surgeries. The excerpt mentions, like, way fewer errors. Analyzes patient data live. Game changer, especially with hospitals short-staffed like they are.
And not just filling in, but changing how we think about patient care. Elder care, too, right? Being approachable, getting human emotions, that's huge.
Huge. Imagine it keeping people company, helping them out. Aging in place wouldn't seem so impossible then. Could be massive for independent living.
All right, so healthcare, slam dunk. What about manufacturing, though? Robots on factory floors, we've seen it. What's different?
This is next-level automation, not just doing the same thing over and over. Figure one could actually work with people, like an expert showing it how to do something complex, and it learns just by watching.
So it's less replacing jobs, more like training your robot coworker. Efficiency goes up, sure, but then we got to rethink how we train people in the first place.
Exactly. Figure AI gets that. They're building a robot, yeah, but also a whole new idea of what work even is.
Long game, not just quick wins. What else is behind their way of doing things? How'd they put it? Their culture.
They called it a championship mindset, which I thought was interesting. It's like, go big, go fast, but don't forget what you're really here for. They know the stakes are high, not just money-wise, but ethically, too.
Makes sense. Robots that learn and adapt like us. It's uncharted territory, really. Speaking of which, what about disaster zones?
Now that's interesting. They talked about using Figure 1 after disasters. Sensors, agility, finding survivors, going into dangerous places we can't.
Like a fearless first responder, giving you info right when you need it. Earthquakes, accidents, whatever it is.
And with that championship mindset, they see this thing on the front lines of the toughest situations.
So from surgery to disaster areas, this is less a worker bee, more like the ultimate Swiss Army knife of robots. What about education, though? Not the first place you'd think of.
True, but get this. The excerpt describes it actually personalizing how kids learn. Imagine every student their own 24/7 tutor, adapting to how they learn best.
Wait, so not replacing teachers, right?
No, this is adding to what teachers do. Spotting where kids are struggling, giving extra help, even connecting classrooms across the world.
That's wild. Breaking down those walls, geography, learning styles, truly inclusive. Mind blown, for real.
And we're just getting started. Figure AI's got a whole vision here, finance, how we live, the whole thing.
Whoa, hold up. Finance, that one seems out of left field.
Think about it. Figure 1, giving you personalized financial advice, analyzing the markets, even managing investments. All tailored to you, no huge fees, no biases.
Like a personal financial advisor, but on call 24/7, sign me up.
Exactly. It's like making financial smarts available to everyone. And don't forget, it can process tons of data. Spots things even the pros might miss.
That's twice my mind's been blown this deep dive. This thing is seriously multi-talented. Before we get carried away, though, how are they actually going to make this happen? What's the secret sauce?
Well, it seems like a lot of it is about moving fast and staying focused. They're big on making prototypes, getting Figure 1 out there, learning by doing. Remember, it's built to learn as it goes.
So less time in the lab, more time in the real world, getting smarter, huh?
Exactly. They actually call it fail fast, learn faster. Messing up is part of the plan. It's how you learn.
That's kind of bold, though, right? When it could be in surgery one day, a disaster zone the next.
Bold, yeah, but gotta do it. They're upfront that this is all new. The only way to really figure it out is get Figure 1 out there.
So it's like learn, adapt, do it better. And again, makes sense, but that takes trust, right? Investors, customers, even just people on the street.
For sure. And Figure AI, they seem to really get that. They talk about being open, communication, and getting the public involved early.
Okay, so not just some secret lab. They want people in the loop. What's that actually look like?
Workshops, their research is out there. You can even visit, see Figure 1 yourself. They're not dodging the tough questions. They want different points of view.
That's good to hear. It's easy to geek out on the tech, but there's a whole ethical, societal side too.
Absolutely. Figure AI seems serious about doing this right. Not just can we, but should we? And how do we make it good for everyone?
All right, so we got their style, their thinking. But let's talk techie stuff. How does this robot's brain actually work? How does it decide what to do? I'm still a little lost there.
It's wild when you think about it, right? Trying to copy how our brains work, but in a machine.
So break it down for me. How do they even start?
Well, it starts with the senses, like us. Figure 1's got cameras, mics, sensors so it can feel things, temperature, pressure, all that.
So its own version of senses. But instead of a brain, it goes where?
Right into the AI brain. Algorithms, neural networks, all that fancy stuff. That's where the magic happens. It takes in what the senses are telling it, looks for patterns, and basically figures out what's going on.
So if I'm getting this, it's constantly taking in information, sending it to its AI brain, and that's how it makes decisions.
Exactly. And the coolest part, because the AI is meant to learn, the more it experiences, the better it gets at processing, making decisions, all that.
So it's like constantly leveling up every interaction, definitely getting into sci-fi territory here.
Right. It's crazy how far AI and robotics have come. Forget just following orders. These machines are learning, adapting, becoming problem solvers.
Okay, so we got the info processing, the learning.
Yeah.
But how does it actually do stuff in the real world? Can it actually, like, grab things, move around obstacles, shake a hand?
That's where actuators come in. Think of them like the muscles.
So it's got the brain for thinking and muscles to act on those thoughts.
Nailed it. And the excerpt, it's all about how much work went into designing these actuators. Fluid movements, precise, even graceful, they said.
I'm picturing a robot surgeon now. But really, though, this whole human-centered design, they're serious about it.
Totally. They want it approachable, not scary, even looking nice, not just working, but making people comfortable around it, especially like in healthcare with elderly.
Makes sense. We've all seen those clunky movie robots. Not exactly who I'd want taking care of grandma.
Right. Figure 1 is meant to be different. Intuitive, responsive, more, well, human-like.
Okay, so it's capable and friendly, but how about safe? Working with people, delicate situations, how do we know it won't, like, go haywire?
Safety's number one, and they've clearly thought about this a lot at Figure AI.
So what kind of safety stuff are we talking about?
First off, sensors everywhere. It knows what's around it, constantly. Obstacles, avoiding crashes, even understanding human body language.
Wait, so not just not bumping into things, but actually getting how people move.
Exactly. And backups on top of backups. Software, mechanical fail-safes, just in case. They want to be sure this thing's predictable, even if something unexpected happens.
That's reassuring. Like, okay, they've thought about the robot uprising scenarios we see in movies, but what about hacking? Everything's connected now. That's got to be a worry, right?
Huge concern, but it seems like they're on top of it. They talked about really strong cybersecurity built into everything, the hardware, software, how it talks to other systems.
So not just, oh yeah, security is important, but actually part of the whole design process.
Exactly, and they're committed to testing, updates, the whole 9 yards. Got to stay ahead of the bad guys.
Sounds like they're taking it seriously, as they should.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered safety, cybersecurity, but let's zoom out for a sec. Big picture. What happens if robots like this are everywhere? What does that do to society?
The million-dollar question right there. And they don't shy away from it either. Figure AI knows this changes everything. Some stuff we can guess, some stuff, who knows?
New territory, exciting and kind of scary at the same time.
Totally. But Figure AI's take is, if we plan it right, talk about it openly, are ethical in how we build this thing. We can make it good. Humans and robots, better world, all that.
That's optimistic. But let's get specific. What kind of impacts are they talking about?
Well, jobs. That's got to be number one. If these robots can do more and more, some jobs are going to disappear. It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a big one, and understandably so. But then what do we do about it? How do people get ready for these future jobs?
Figure AI is big on retraining, teaching people the new skills, the stuff robots can't do. Creativity, thinking for yourself, all that human stuff.
So not just being replaced, but finding that new way to work together, each side doing what it's good at.
Right, and that could even mean a whole new industries we haven't even thought of yet. It's not just filling the same slots, it's a whole new ballgame.
I like the way you put that. But That means society's got to be on board, willing to change, too.
Totally. Figure AI is all about that constant learning, adapting, not just, I'm trained for this one job. It's more like, I'm ready for whatever's next.
Be comfortable with change, yeah. This is a lot to process.
It is, but we got to start thinking about it now or it'll be too late. They're not just making a robot, they're making the future. And they want us all to have a say.
Okay, so the big picture, the job stuff, let's talk specific industries. Healthcare, that's obvious, but go deeper.
Oh yeah, healthcare is fascinating. Tons of uses. We mentioned surgery, but picture this. Elder care, companionship, checking on their health, reminding them about meds, even helping them get around the house.
Like a 24/7 helper, but no burnout, no staffing issues. Huge, especially with more older folks all the time.
Huge. And not just that, think about hospitals. Taking care of the simpler stuff so nurses and doctors, they can focus on the patients, the hard cases.
Game changers, especially now with hospitals short-staffed like they are. But this isn't just filling gaps. It's like rethinking healthcare entirely.
Exactly. Figure AI, they're talking about making healthcare personal, being proactive, available to everyone. Doesn't matter where you live, how much money you got. And figure one is how they're going to do it.
All right, so healthcare, check. Manufacturing, that's got automation already. What's different here?
This is like automation 2.0, you know? It's smarter, it works with you, not just replacing people, but humans and robots as a team.
No more robots versus humans. It's robots and humans.
Exactly. And because figure one's so easy to teach, so adaptable, it could change how we make anything. Custom-made stuff, but on a huge scale. And it could make those jobs better for the people doing them, too.
So not just more efficient, but actually a better place to work. That's a nice change.
Right. Figure AI keeps saying, they don't want to replace us, they want to make us better.
Now that's a message I can get behind.
Yeah.
But let's move on. Another one they brought up, disaster relief. That's got to be perfect for a robot like this, right?
Oh, yeah. Imagine it after an earthquake, hurricane, whatever. Going through the rubble, seeing how bad the damage is, finding people who are trapped. That's invaluable for those rescue teams, especially right when it happens.
Saving time, saving lives. Crazy important when every second counts.
And because it's built tough, can handle anything, you can send it places we'd never risk sending a person. Checking buildings, finding survivors, even getting medical supplies to people who are cut off.
A first responder who's not afraid of anything.
And on top of that, it's got the sensors, the communication, so it can tell the rescue workers exactly what's happening right when it's happening. Better decisions, you know.
Extra eyes and ears on the ground, but way tougher than any human.
Exactly. And as AI gets better, who knows? Maybe these robots will even help us predict disasters, get ahead of them.
Now that's a thought, especially these days. But it's not just saving the day, right? What about finance? They mentioned that too.
Yeah, and that's a fun one. Imagine everyone gets their own financial advisor. Not just any advice, but tailored for you, your goals, how much risk you're cool with.
Sounds too good to be true. What's the catch?
No catch. Well, not really. It's figure one, remember? It can crunch those numbers, see those patterns in the market that we might miss.
So it's like leveling the playing field, giving everyone a chance to make smart money moves.
Exactly. And because it's AI, no emotions, no biases, just cold, hard data.
Okay, mind blown 3 times in one sitting. This figure one thing, seriously impressive.
But hold on, gotta rewind to the job thing again. Retraining's great, but what about folks who are already struggling? How do we make sure this helps everyone, not just the ones who can keep up?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And Figure AI knows it. They talk about a multi-pronged approach, whatever that means. Investment in education and training, maybe a universal basic income.
So it's not just learn these new skills, it's let's make sure everyone has a shot in this new world. Exactly, and it's got to be a team effort. Educators, the government, businesses, all of us figuring out how to make this work for everyone.
All right, point taken. Now, how about just the way we work in general? We talked factories, but what about everything else?
Figure AI, they're betting on a future where we do less of the boring stuff and more of what humans are good at. You know, thinking, solving problems, connecting with each other.
Robots handle the to-do list, we handle the big picture stuff.
Exactly. Think about it. What if you could just hand off all those little tasks, all that mental energy, freed up for the important stuff?
Where do I sign up? But really, that's pretty optimistic, isn't it?
It is, but it's not naive. They get human nature. They get how tech is changing things. It's about using AI and robots the right way so we can all have lives with more purpose, you know?
Okay, count me in. But we can't forget about the fun stuff. This excerpt wasn't all serious, right? They mentioned something about leisure time, making our personal lives better too. Robot butlers. Tell me it's robot butlers.
Aha, not quite butlers, but they did mention help around the house, entertainment, even being a buddy for stuff like hiking, museums, you name it.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Not just work, but actually making life better.
Exactly. Figure one, just part of life, at work, at home. We can do more and have more time for what matters.
Sounds like something out of a movie, but in a good way. But hold it, before we go full sci-fi, what about the planet? Can't have a better future if we wreck the place, right?
Right, and Figure AI gets that. They're big on sustainability, building Figure One the right way.
So what, like robots made of recycled soda bottles, solar-powered?
They're looking into all that. Sustainable materials, less waste, even designing it so it's easy to take apart and recycle later on.
So they're thinking about the whole life cycle, how to minimize the impact.
Yep. This robot's not just good for us, it's good for the planet, too.
Now that I like to hear, we can innovate and take care of the Earth.
Right. That's something they're passionate about, it seems like. AI and robotics, they can make things fairer, more sustainable for everyone.
Inspiring stuff. One more thing that caught my eye, this whole global cooperation thing, they're not trying to hog it all for themselves, are they?
Nope, not at all. Figure AI knows this AI and robotics thing. It's worldwide. Everyone's going to feel it. And they're saying, we got to work together across borders to make sure it goes right.
So what, like a UN for robots? What does that even look like?
Think more like shared rules for how we develop AI and robotics, making their tech open source, partnering up with people all over.
So not one company, one country calling the shots. More like a global brain trust, figuring it out together.
That's the idea. Figure AI, they're saying this is everyone's journey.
I like the sound of that. Speaking of journeys, one last thing that really stuck with me. They talk about Figure One being future-proof. What does that even mean? Tech changes so fast.
Right. Well, they designed it to be modular, like Legos. You know, parts can be swapped out, upgraded, new stuff added as tech gets better.
So it's not stuck in time. It can evolve.
Exactly. And because the AI is always learning, it'll keep up with whatever's new, stay relevant.
Okay, now that's thinking ahead. But with all this talk about robots, AI, what about us? Are we going to be obsolete?
That's the big question since, well, computers were invented. But Figure AI, they don't see it as us or them. It's us and them working together.
So it's like enhancing what we can do, not replacing us entirely.
Exactly. AI and robot, they're tools to help us, make us better, give us more possibilities.
Okay, I can get on board with that. But back to Figure One for a sec. They said it's not just understanding emotions, but mimicking them too. What's that about, and what does that mean for us?
Now that is where it gets really interesting. Figure AI wants Figure One to actually pick up on how we're feeling and react in a way that feels natural.
Hold on. Not just reading a facial expression or how our voice sounds, but actually getting it on an emotional level.
That's what they're saying. And think about it. A robot that can tell you're stressed and chills out or knows how to encourage you when you're down.
Like a robot who's not just smart, but actually gets us. My mind is kind of blown, but in a good way.
It's huge, right? But then we got to think, what are emotions anyway? Is it right to build a machine that can do that? How does that change how we feel about them? We're just starting to figure all that out.
So much to think about. Guess it comes down to, as we build these incredible machines, we got to keep asking those big questions about how it changes us too.
Exactly. And luckily, Figure AI seems to be all about that open conversation. They're not just building robots, they're building the future, and they want us to be a part of it.
Love that. Okay, let's shift gears for a second. This excerpt, it's not just about Figure One. It's like a sneak peek at a whole new world, right? Our lives, our cities, how we treat the planet. AI and robotics could change everything.
Big, exciting changes, and a little scary, too. Figure AI is honest about that. There's challenges, but there's also huge opportunities.
So let's start with the good stuff. What's the best case scenario? What's this future look like?
Well, healthcare. Imagine AI figuring out what's wrong with you, personalized medicine, robots doing surgery. We could treat diseases better, maybe even stop them before they start. Cancer's a distant memory. Genetic diseases are cured. Everyone's got access to good healthcare no matter what.
So tech used to ease suffering, help us live longer, healthier lives for everyone.
Exactly. And education. What if every student had AI and robots personalizing their lessons? Every kid gets that one-on-one help, classrooms are interactive, learning's not something only some people get access to, it's a right.
Technology empowering people, making things fair. I like it.
Right. And work. No more dangerous jobs, no more soul-crushing, repetitive stuff. We use our brains, our creativity. Work becomes something that helps us grow, not just a paycheck.
So we're not dreading Monday morning anymore. Sign me up.
And then there's our cities. AI and robots could make them efficient, green, awesome places to live. No more traffic jams, energy's used right, less waste. Everyone gets around easily, safely.
Smarter, greener cities for all. Sounds good to me.
Right. And beyond that, what about exploring the universe? AI and robots diving deep in the ocean, mapping Mars, maybe even finding aliens.
That's getting really out there, but who knows what we're capable of.
That's the spirit. The AI saying this is all within reach. These aren't just machines, they're how we make a better future for everybody.
Okay, but we can't ignore the downsides either, right? They mentioned those too. What kind of challenges are we talking about?
The big one, jobs going away, like we talked about before. If robots can do more, some jobs won't be around anymore. Got to be prepared for that.
So our schools, our training, it all has to change too, right?
Exactly. Maybe even look at totally new ideas like that universal basic income thing. We gotta have people's backs if their jobs disappear.
Society has to be ready to adapt. What else worries them?
They're worried that AI and robots could actually make inequality worse. Like, what if only the rich people, the powerful ones, benefit from all this?
It's not just about having the tech, it's about making sure everyone gets a fair shot.
Right. And then there's the whole misuse thing. What if someone decides to be evil? Autonomous weapons, the scary stuff. Or even just more subtle things like using AI to mess with our minds.
So we need rules, ethical guidelines, and a way to keep this tech in check.
And we got to talk about it openly, the good, the bad, all of it. People need to be informed so we can make the right choices about how this stuff fits into our lives.
Tech's serving us, not the other way around.
Exactly. And Figure AI seems to get that, which is refreshing. They're not just about the tech, they're about using it to make a better world.
Love it. But let's get philosophical for a minute. This excerpt, it made me think about how our relationship with machines is going to change. If they're getting smarter all the time, what does that mean for how we see ourselves?
Big questions, right? As machines get closer and closer to us, we got to ask ourselves, what does make us human? What's intelligence? What's consciousness? Are those things we can even program? It's a trip.
Like we're looking in a mirror, but it's reflecting back something totally new and unknown.
Exactly. We might not like all the answers, but hey, maybe that's how we learn something new about ourselves.
It really makes you think, right? What makes us special if machines can do all this?
Yeah.
But speaking of, they mentioned something about AI and robots actually making us more creative. How does that even work?
Right. It's like, wait a minute, isn't creativity what makes us human? But Figure AI makes a good point.
Okay, you got me. Tell me more. Robots making us the creative ones.
Okay, so imagine this. No more boring tasks. No more filing, data entry, all that stuff that sucks up your time and energy. What if a robot took care of all that? What could you do then?
Finally have time to actually think, Big picture stuff, coming up with new ideas.
Exactly. Your mind is clear, you can focus on what matters. And that's not even the best part. Imagine algorithms that can look at everything. Art, music, science, everything humans have ever done, and they find the patterns, the connections, the stuff we miss.
So you're saying robots won't replace our artists, musicians, scientists. They'll just give them superpowers.
Exactly. A painter who's got this AI partner coming up with endless possibilities, pushing them in new directions, or a musician using AI to create sounds they never even imagined.
Oh, I'm actually seeing it now. It's like your ultimate brainstorming buddy, always pushing you further.
And it's not just art. Entrepreneurs coming up with the next big thing, engineers building stuff in ways we never even thought of. The sky's the limit, really.
This is seriously mind-blowing. A whole new era of creativity, all thanks to AI and robots. Who would have thought?
It's pretty wild, right? But it just goes to show, this technology, it could change everything, and for the better.
This has been one for the books, that's for sure. As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the main takeaway you hope our listeners are left with?
If I had to pick just one, it'd be this. The future isn't something that just happens to us. We build it every day with the choices we make. AI and robots are tools, and what we build with those tools, that's up to us.
So less robots are taking over, more let's make sure they help us make a better world.
Exactly. And it starts with talking about it like we are now. Asking the tough questions, listening to each other, figuring out how to use this stuff for good.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, here's something for everyone listening to think about. The excerpt mentioned Figure 1, being able to understand, even mimic our emotions. What does that even mean for a machine to actually get how we feel? Is it right to build something that can blur that line between artificial and real emotions? It's a big question, but as we keep diving deeper into this AI and robotics world, it's one we gotta keep asking. Thanks for joining us.